Hey kids, this is Ivan. How you doing? I'm all disheveled. I'm getting ready to go to the gym and I had a bunch of stuff I'm getting done today. But I want to talk briefly about something that happened the other day. That's really, really important. As we were playing our first adventure in the Fantasy Flight game Star Wars, every once in a while we talked about using some in-game currency. In other words, we'd get an advantage or something, and we'd narrate that, okay, I guess I'm going to give so-and-so a boost die, and I'll buy that with some of my advantages and what have you. And every time we did something like that, CGA would kind of chime in from the back, but how? And it got to be kind of a funny sort of, we kind of looked at him expectantly almost to say those sort of things, because he was reminding us, okay, just because you're using an in-game currency to do something, how exactly are you going to do that? How is that going to happen in terms of fictional positioning, in terms of the actual narration? It's one of those things. It's a great reminder, because I've had this many times as I'm learning a game, and it has some mechanics that I'm just not used to. It has some kind of maybe like internal game currency. Maybe it's the style points and ubiquity. Maybe it's something where the rules have some sort of assist mechanic, so you can assist somebody else doing something. Maybe you get some kind of currency like in Fantasy Flight games Star Wars, where you get some advantages which can be spent in a manner of different ways. Or something like momentum or threat, or whatever the game happens to be, 2d20 or what have you, where you're well within your rights to mechanically say, now I'm going to use this, now I'm going to purchase this thing in the game world, reality, whatever it might be. I'm just going to help this guy out, and I'm going to give this guy an advantage, blah, blah, blah. But how? And what CGA was gently reminding us the entire game was, okay, that's great that you're going to do that, but how exactly are you going to do that in terms of the fiction? What is that really going to look like? As these characters look at each other, let's ignore the fact this is a game. What does your guy do that gives the other guy an advantage on his next action, etc.? And that's something important to remember no matter what game you're playing, no matter whether you're playing something like 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons and have some kind of advantage or whatever the heck it is, or your Ubiquity or Fantasy Flight game Star Wars, or some kind of Powered by the Apocalypse game. Whatever it happens to be, before, it's too easy for us to simply say, okay, well, I'm going to spend this currency on this. And mechanically, we're well within our rights to do so. But how are you actually doing that? How is the character actually doing that? And so it's a great reminder, for me at least, to remember at the end of the day, for me, this is a personal bias thing, I want that in-character experience. I want that, what's really happening in the fiction. And, it's okay that we have all these devices to help get us there, but I don't want to divorce those from the actual game that's going on, the actual story that's unfolding, if you will. So one of those things to remember all the time when you're using some kind of currency. But how? But how is your character really doing that? So, food for thought. Now I got to go to the gym.